Hi everyone! Okay, it's Danielle. I realized that even though you met me a few weeks ago, this is only the second video I have put on AhhCollege. And that's because right after the first video was uploaded, I ran out of internet data for the next few weeks. And yesterday, my Wi-Fi finally came back on. So, I know it's been a while. I'm going to catch you up to date, and then I'm going to go into today's topic, which is called People That Piss Me Off in My Classes. Alright, so the last few weeks have been really fun. I haven't been really doing a lot. I've been looking for jobs, and I haven't been able to apply to any online as of recently because of the no internet. So I spent the afternoon getting around for my uncle's girlfriend's baby shower, which is tomorrow, and I got her present around, and I made a spinach dip, which I'm going to cut into a loaf of pumpernickel bread to make a bread bowl, onto people that piss me off in my classes. So I'm taking 4 classes my first semester of college, and I'm going to talk about them in order of my favorites to my least favorites. And the last one, which is my math class, is probably going to be the one I'm going to spend the most time talking about, because that class is just, I can't even. So, basic filmmaking is my favorite class so far, and I wouldn't say there's a lot of bitches in that class because there's only me and 2 other girls, and one of those girls is my friend Kilara, and you've probably heard us talk about her. She's friends with Kayla, and she's friends with Bella. So it's just, they're not mean boys, but my opinion is not valued because I am a girl. I have heard the phrase, "You're a girl, what do you know?" at least once, and they all kind of just give each other this look whenever I say something in class, and I'm not pretending to know a lot about cameras and stuff. I mean, I make these videos on my laptop webcam. I don't have my own camera, and these cameras that we use in the studio are worth thousands of dollars and more complicated than anything I could ever imagine owning. That being said, I spent 4 years of high school and some of my childhood acting, and I know a lot about stage presence. I'm used to knowing where to stand to get the best view from anywhere, because when you're on live theater, someone in the audience is only seeing it from one angle. It's a static shot. So when we just did our project, where the goal was we could only do a static shot, I was really good at knowing how we should set it up and what we should do because I was used to that. And they just didn't seem to value my opinion. And there was another boy in that class who was in Masterworks with me, and he said pretty much the same thing I was saying. And they were all like, "Oh, that's such a great idea." And I'm sitting in the background like, "Oh, I just said the exact same thing. Bitches." Class number 2. Graphic design. I know absolutely nothing about Photoshop or Illustrator. And I also know absolutely nothing about Mac computers. I am a PC person. I am a Windows PC person. So there's this kid who sits next to me. Is pretty much the only person that I could talk to quietly without shouting, because the next person is a few feet away. That being said, he is phenomenal at Photoshop and Illustrator and just knows a lot about this. That's what he wants to do with his life. He wants to become a graphic designer. Whenever I have a question, the teacher is kind of obnoxious, and she makes a habit of responding to all of your questions and turning it into a teaching moment. So if I ask a really dumb question, she's gonna tell the whole class what I don't know how to do. So that's kind of embarrassing for me when I get called out for not knowing how to do something. And I know she's not trying to be mean. That's her teaching style. Individual questions is part of her lesson. So I usually try to avoid asking her questions, and I ask the smart kid who sits next to me. And on the first day of school, he was really nice, and we were chatting. And then as soon as he found out that I didn't know hardly anything about graphic design, he kind of just really distanced himself and stopped talking to me, which I didn't mind. So he sometimes helps me, but he's a little condescending, and that pisses me off. Alright, class number 3. My English class. Mrs. Clout is really cool. She's the mom of one of my good friends, Caroline, and I think it's really awesome. When I found out that she could be my English teacher, I signed up for her class for that reason. However, most of the kids in that class I went to middle school with. I know a lot of them, and then the other half of it is like adults because it's a higher level English class. So I like it, but I find myself chatting a lot. There's just a bunch of people that I never really got to know them, so I'm kind of judging them based on what I knew about them when they were 11 through 13 years old, which is never a good time period to judge someone. Class number 4. Well, they're really just dumbasses. So for starters, I'm in a really stupid math class because I really bombed the placement test. It only started on Monday, so I've only gone to 3 classes so far, but we didn't actually learn any math, and I wouldn't say we learned any math on the 3rd class. And the lesson was on how to write numbers out of the letters. So like she wrote like 6, 4, comma, 0, 5, 4, comma, like whatever on the board, and we had to write that out like SIXTY-FOUR, and that was the homework and the lesson, how to write them out with actual letters like you were writing a check if she gave you numbers, and vice versa. Are you serious? I know it's a lower level math course, but are you kidding me right now? And the sadder thing is, there are kids in the class who didn't know this stuff. Like, I learned how to write numbers in like the 1st grade. I'm pretty sure in college you should not still have to be teaching teenagers and other adults how to spell 64,033. What? I got asked by several kids what I was doing in that class because I was just so, I knew it. And the girl who sits next to me she doesn't understand like anything. The homework was 1 through 117, every other odd. So like you would do number 1, and then because you were doing odds, you would skip number 2. And then because you're doing every other odd, you would also skip number 3. And then you would skip number 4 because it was even, so you would do 5. And then you would skip 6, 7, and 8 and do 9. And then you would skip 10, 11, and 12 and do 13. So you really weren't doing that much. And my teacher had to spend like 20 minutes of the class explaining what that meant. And I had trouble understanding what it was first, but all she had to do was say it exactly how I just said it, and it made perfect sense. It's the one class I feel like I'm back in high school again, because the kids who are there don't want to be there, and they have to be there, and it's a class they don't like, and I just feel like I'm back in high school again, because that's how most of my high school classes were, filled with people who don't want to be there, who had to be there, and didn't like the subject. That's today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry I missed the last 2 Fridays. I swear I'm going to be back on a regular basis. Bye, everyone!